This is CTV News Channel. We begin with reaction to Canada's goal against their rival U.S. as, again, Canada going for gold in women's hockey in Italy. Now, that goal came early in the second period from Kristen O'Neill. Short-handed at that, the Oakville, Ontario native broke loose on a 2-on-1. The game is just underway in the third period. Canada leading 1-0 still. And, again, a few minutes away if they can hang on for another gold medal. For more on this, we are joined by CTV's Heather Butts, who is in Milan, who I am told has a special guest with her.
Matt, thank you. I don't think our guest this evening needs any introduction, especially when it comes to hockey and the Olympics and Canadian pride. Mr. Wayne Gretzky, thank you so much for taking the time. Walk us through this game that we're watching this evening, the pressure that these athletes are feeling. You've been there yourself.
You know, it's so enormous, the Olympic Games, right? Every shift, every period. Canada's had so much success over the years in the Olympic Games and the women's sport, but over the last couple of years, the American women have come on, and the Canadian team going into this game was a little bit of an underdog, but they played so well tonight. You can tell that they're playing with a lot of pride, and it's been a tremendous hockey game.
How do they take that pride, but also keep it in check and remain, you know, level-headed on the ice?
That's the fine line, right? Look at last night's men's game. We're down 3-2 late. Everybody's sitting on their hands going, oh, my God, hopefully this is not going to end like this. The best players come through in the clutch. They tie it 3-3. We win 4-3. Some athletes just have that inner fortitude that comes to the top when the most pressure is on. And you can see, witnessing this game, the Canadian girls are playing probably as good as they've ever played against the U.S. over the course of the whole season.
Women's hockey has just blown up. It's phenomenal to see the PWHL. Talk to us about what you think about women's hockey and what impresses you the most and how the sport has grown.
Well, look, if you look at every sport, golf, tennis, hockey, these women are great athletes. They train hard, they prepare hard, they love the game, they have a passion for it. One of the things I'm most proud of, and didn't even come from me, but my dad was a big believer in women's sports, and he had one of the very first women's hockey tournaments in Brantford, Ontario, way back in mid-'80s. And my dad was adamant that we're going to have women's tournaments as long as we have boys tournaments. So, listen, these girls deserve a lot of credit. The game has prospered. Girls like Haley Wickenheiser, girls that they can look up to as their idols, guys like Sidney Crosby and Mario Lemieux, and they look up to these girls and they say, you know what, I want to win a gold medal for Canada and I want to have the life that they have. So good on them and good for them and good for Canadian hockey in general.
It's so important, as you mentioned, to get kids into sport, but it's expensive. Sport is costly for families. What do we do to keep the cost down? Should the NHL be contributing more? How do we keep the cost down to get young kids and more families into sport and hockey?
That's the hardest part, right? And I know the NHL bends over backwards to try to do as much as they can to help kids who are less fortunate. I can tell you firsthand, and I talk to friends about this all the time, if it wasn't for my grandparents who donated money to my mom and dad to help me buy hockey sticks and skates, I had teammates whose fathers would pitch in, and I'm sure that's going on today in this day and age. That's one of the issues that we got to try to figure out, but it's an expensive sport, and not everyone's going to make the NHL. It's hard to make the National Hockey League. It's hard to make the Professional Women's Hockey League also. But if you can get a scholarship out of it, go to college and get an education, that's a really good thing.
Give us your take. We're here. We're talking about the women's hockey game. Heated rivalry here between Canada and the U.S. That plays a role into these sports, too, that rivalry between Canada and the U.S.
No question about it. Rivalries are what propels the game, right? So in '87, it was Canada against the Soviet Union. Now it's Canada against the U.S. In Canada, it was always Calgary against Edmonton. But at the end of the day, you know, you become friends. You want to win. You want to do whatever it takes to become a champion. But at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all try to help other families. We all try to help less fortunate people. And that's what makes being a professional hockey player so great, is the people who are in the game.
All right. Well, we'll end it on one last question. We won't talk about the women right now because that game is underway. Talk to us about the men's hockey team. Any prediction heading into tomorrow and this weekend?
I said to Rick Tocchet, who's one of my really closest friends and assistant coach with Team Canada, I told him a month ago, when the Czechoslovakian team comes together, now we call it Czechia, when they come together, they play so incredibly well as a group. And I said, one of your hardest games is going to be against the Czechs. And sure enough, that game was really a barn burner. Czechs played really well. Canadians held their ground. I thought when our goalie needed to make big saves, he did. One of the things that was talked about before the tournament is our goaltender good enough? And I think last night he proved that he's a Stanley Cup champion. He's got a chance to win a gold medal. He won a Four Nations Cup. So I really like the place that we're in. The best player in the game, McDavid, has been the best player in the tournament. And I anticipate Canada going forward will only get better in the semifinal and the final. So obviously, I'm predicting a Canadian gold. But I will tell you this, the Americans are really good too. The Tkachuk brothers and the people in Ottawa know this firsthand. They grind it out, they play hard, and it's going to be a tough battle, but I really think Canada should win the gold medal.
All right, there we go, from Wayne Gretzky himself. Back to you.
Great stuff, Heather. Again, thanks so much for that. Appreciate it. So again, Heather Butts with Wayne Gretzky in Milan here as the women's hockey game continues. At least right now, the watch parties in Toronto and in Ottawa, it is still 1-0 for Team Canada. Some good insight from the Great One on a couple of different hockey topics, clearly. But again, most fans and Canadians right now invested in this women's hockey game where, again, right now, 12.5 minutes remaining in the third period. Canada looking for another gold medal. They remain up 1-0 at this point.